Or, all right. I can go any way I choose. I can go live anyhow, win or lose. I can go anywhere for something new, anyhow, anyway, anywhere I choose. I can do anything, right or wrong. I can talk anyhow and get along. I don't care anyway. I never lose anyhow, anyhow, anyway I choose. Nothing gets in my way, not even locked doors. Don't follow the lines that been laid before. I get along any way I dare, anyway, anyhow, anywhere. I can go any way I choose. I can live anyhow, win or lose. I can do anything for something new, anyway, anyhow, anywhere I choose.
Okay, thank you to one of our great thinkers, Jim Dalglish. It's now time for the story for all ages. So I'd like the kids to come up and kind of sit around the front row. Ishmael's already up here. Will, you want to come forward? I'd like to have you all in a group because I want to talk to you. No, you can just sit right down there. I'm going to stay here so I can actually take my mask off and talk to you. No, actually, right there. Will, you're good. And Lois and Chloe, Eric, and Cesar, how about you guys? Zelda, too? Yes, okay, it's good to see you guys all here today. So today we're talking about great thinkers, and I'm hoping that Lisa will project the image that I gave her on the screen, if possible, because it's an important image that we need to be familiar with, at least for right now, about thinking. Do we have it? We have it. Yes, we do. Can anyone describe that image for me? What is that? Oh, Lois, what is that? Okay, yeah, actually, yeah, thank you. Lois said it's like a turtle with elephants, with a bowl on top of the elephants, and that's exactly what it is. And that's exactly what Hindu children for hundreds of years thought the universe looked like. Will, go ahead.
Looks like that turtle is not having a very good time.
You know, the turtle does not look particularly happy about the situation, now that you mention it. So there's a little bit of...
One more.
Yes.
It's a turtle elephant holding the earth.
Pardon me, Eric?
If you look up on top, you could see land.
Yeah, that's the way Hindu children used to think about, and actually adults also think about the world. The world was supported on the backs of 4 elephants that stood on the back of a giant cosmic turtle, and that's the way they used to think about it. So, what about? Do you like that idea? Who likes that idea? You like that idea? Okay. Well, let's just forget the rest of the sermon then. Okay. Actually, it says right here, hopefully the children will disagree. So go ahead. Well, see, the thing is, everyone knows, and I mean, I know, and you all know that the world is like a big plate, right? And that people and all the people and plant and animals are standing on the big plate. Do we have who here thinks the earth is flat like a big plate? Okay, Jim. Yeah, Jim does. Okay, well, that is the way some people like to think about it. And there's quite a few people that belong to a group called the Flat Earth Society, and they have all kinds of proofs that the Earth is flat, like a big saucer that people stand on. But what do you think the shape of the world is like? Can someone tell me? Ishmael.
It's like a ball.
Like a ball? Like a squash, maybe, because I couldn't find a ball. Yeah. Okay. Well, that is interesting. But let me ask you this, Ishmael. Since the world is falling about, how come people don't fall off the bottom of it? Oh,
Because gravity.
gravity.
Mhm.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean gravity doesn't pull people off the ball? How does that work? Can the adults still help us here? Go ahead, Will.
Because the core of the earth is where gravity is centered
Ah, because the core of the Earth is where the gravity is centered on. Good for you guys. That is pretty good thinking. So we pretty much know that the planet we live on, Earth, is round like a ball. So there are a lot of ideas out there that aren't really very good ideas about describing reality. And that's what ideas are for. Ideas are for our models in a way of thinking about what reality is. And the reality we now know is that the Earth is flat, or round rather. Okay. Okay. Maybe, yeah. Okay, so the bottom line is that you're going to, over your long lives, encounter a lot of ideas that are really bad ideas. You're going to have to find a way to weed out the bad ideas and decide for yourself what is right and wrong. The only way to do that is to use your brain. Can anyone point to their brains, where they keep their brains at? Okay, good. That's good. After you leave today, we adults are going to talk about some of history's great thinkers. I want you, every one of you, to be a great thinker starting right now. So let's sing the kids out. Thank you for your help today, kids. Peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Okay, excellent. So now Gloria Weber is going to share with us a little bit about one of the people that we value as being a founding parent of Unitarian Universalism. So Gloria, would you come forward and talk to us about Michael Savitas?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gloria Weber, and it's really nice to be here today because I'm around so many good friends today. Michael Savitas, I think I put my glasses on if I have them any place. Would you hold on a second? See if I brought my glasses with me. I don't think I do. No, it's all right. I'll work without them. No, I'm not that bad. Okay. I'm going to talk about Michael Savitas, and there is Michael Savitas right up there in front of you. A most interesting and exciting man. And in the past few years, I have to say to you, I'm asking you this question really, that in the past few years, have you read a book that ignited smoldering embers, shock and dismay, to the point of exclaiming to yourself, I would like to get rid of that person, or maybe worse thoughts that you might have had? Well, tell you the truth, I have. Well, once upon a time, Once upon a time, that's a good old fairy tale. In the year 1531, a book came on the market that was learned, it was shrewd, and it was impertinent, called On the Errors of the Trinity. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Trinity. I personally don't know very much about the Trinity, not having been brought up in the Christian faith, but I did read a little bit about it then. The book was a bestseller. Of course it was a bestseller. It was at that time in the 1500s, that book was really a bestseller, which in a way is surprising though. And some of the leaders of the anti-Trinitarianism were definitely upset with this book, but others were more than upset. They were just furious and they didn't know what they were going to do about it. So they decided that they would try to get rid of this man, Savitas, this young man, Savitas, who was all of 20 years old at the time that he wrote this book. So the people who were very much against this were the ones who were so angry about it that they were even more willing to, and they zealously embraced the Trinity. Of course, the sale of the book was fabulous. Well, who in the world was this man? He was a very young man, and his name was Michael Savitas. Michael Savitas was born in Spain in the year 1511. That's way, way back, 1511, from 2021 to 1511. In a town called Villanova in the northern part of Spain. He was the son of a local judge and had the exceptional ability as a very young person to be extremely bright, smart. He was way ahead of his time in every thought that he had. He was a delight to his father, to his parents. And while studying law, though, as he grew up, he went to France to study. And he studied law particularly, although he was much learned in many, many other fields. He read the Bible for the very first time. He reacted vehemently against the theology and corruption of the church as far as the doctrine of the Trinity was concerned. He attempted to convince the leaders that his thoughts were really good ones and they should listen to him. But in fact, they did not listen to him. He sent letters, he wrote notes, he did everything he could to convince them that maybe they should listen to him and talk to him and have a conversation with him. Doesn't that sound familiar? And no, they did not. So sometimes, so then he moved to France for good. And he stayed in France from 1552 to 1553 under the assumed name of Michael Villanova. He succeeded brilliantly as an editor, a publisher, a doctor. He was learned in astrology, geology, you name it. This man was way, way, way ahead of any one of us, I think. And he gave lectures at the University of Paris. So this gives you a picture of who this man was and what he was thinking and what he was feeling. He was the first to correctly describe pulmonary circulation as a medical man. He wrote a master work then, The Restoration of Christianity. That was his latest work. And of course, writing that book, he consequently was exposed as a heretic. And he ran away because they were after him then, but he was imprisoned. However, he did escape and he moved to Venice, but they caught him once again and they put him in jail. This time they had a trial for him. He was convicted and he was sentenced. He was sentenced to death. So this wonderful young man died an early death. And well, he was then by then almost 42 years old, I would say. And they decided that they would burn him. So they burned him in flames at that time with all his books, because his books were so erratic as far as they were concerned. Here's one of the opinions. I'm sorry that this is so erratic myself, because I'm having trouble, as you can see, reading. So, oh, well, it's a little late now because I don't have much more to say. Yeah, well, gee, they're really good ones too. I wish I would have seen them. I didn't see them early. Well, I really thought that I could read this, and I can, but not as well as I thought. But Michael Savitas was a man that I think about a lot now, and the reason there isn't that much history of him. He was just a man of such great knowledge and scholarship that I could give you just a list of all the wonderful things that he has done, but that seems not important, because it was the man himself who was important, the man who was so thoughtful, who was really thinking about what was going on in the world, not only the world, but in this doctrine in the Bible. And he was so set on trying to change it, and he couldn't. And I think today we're feeling the same thing. There are so many things we want to be different, that we want to change, and we're having a hard time doing it. And we're up against somebody and someone in something in our world that's keeping us from being the person that we would want to be, and the person we would like to see, people that we would like to see taking over and leading us. These leaders that he was up against were not going to give an inch to him, not an inch. And that was so terrifying for him. And he had no choice but to die. I hope that doesn't happen to us. None of us want to die for something that we can change, something that we could make right. So if you want to read more about Michael Savitas, there are plenty of books. Most of them say just what I'm saying today, that this man lived a short life and was unable to accomplish what he wanted to accomplish. Perhaps for you and I and all of us, we can change that around and really, really accomplish something. So Michael Savitas, we salute you today, and hope that we can do better and not be burned at the stake. Thank you.
Well, go ahead and introduce it to him if you like.
Yep. So we're going to do a reading together instead of singing. I'll be the leader and you guys will be the response. And maybe we can just get the books to do this. Good troubleshooting there. We got it on the screen. So this is a reading by Henry David Thoreau, another great thinker from our history. Why should we live in such a hurry and a waste of life?
We are determined to be starved before we are hungry.
I wish to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life.
I wish to learn what life has to teach. I come to die, discover that I have not lived.
$660. It's okay. I'll read with them. Everyone got it in the book? Okay, I'm going to start over again. Why should we live in such a hurry and waste of life?
We are determined to be starved
Before we are hungry. I wish to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life. I wish to learn what life has to teach, and not, when I have come to die, discover that I have not lived. I do not wish to live what is not life. Living is so dear. Nor do I wish to practice resignation, unless it is quite necessary. I wish to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life. I want to cut a broad swath, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms. If it proves to be mean, then to get the whole and genuine meanness of it and publish its meanness to the world. Or if it is sublime, to know it by experience and be able to give a true account of it.
Thank you, Beth. Another good choice.
Yes, yes, Roger, we can hear you.
All right, one more try then, right? Okay, my thanks to Beth for
Roger,
selecting one of my favorite hymns, Nonison, celebrating human progress and public betterment.
Roger, it's not working on this end. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I really feel bad about that. Because I want to hear what you want to say, and we'll all read it, what's published in the announce on Tuesday or Wednesday. So thank you for preparing for this. Okay, here's my offering for today. I start out by thanking everybody for their contributions that we haven't yet been able to hear.
Yep.
Okay, where should I start? Unitarian Universalism is the only post-Enlightenment religion that I know of that has not gone down the road of New Aginess. I do not wish to criticize New Age religions, but it seems to me that most of them are a bit squishy and do not make much mention of the great spiritual work it is to actually bring one's own self into the world and to live the compassionate and authentic life. Unitarian Universalism is a roll up your sleeves kind of religion that requires real effort. The rewards, however, are great. The old religions, like those practiced up to 40,000 years ago, beginning in the Paleolithic era, those continuing in the Neolithic era, about 10,000 years ago, and more recently, those religions like Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam, all did one thing very well. They placed humanity in a cosmic framework that allowed individuals and societies to act in a meaningful context. Acting meaningfully is the great source of self-esteem and hope. The old religions placed humanity at the center of a field of meaning. All the great thinkers of the past, the Hebrew prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, the Buddha, Confucius, Lao Tzu, and the great thinkers in the pagan and indigenous peoples' traditions were very helpful to millions and millions of people. Religion, based on their thought, gave life meaning, conferred on the individual self-esteem and hope, and was the foundation for civilizations. So things were working out pretty well for the traditional religions until a few hundred years ago, when a chain of great thinkers brought us ideas that pretty much effectively degraded the old religions to the place where they have, for many, become shadows of what they used to be. The first great thinker that threw a monkey wrench into the works of the old religious assumption was Copernicus. Copernicus proposed that the earth revolved around the sun instead of the other way around, as proposed by the Ptolemaic model. If Copernicus was correct, humanity was no longer at the center of creation. The old model was beginning to erode. Strangely, it took folks a while to get the idea, so it was not until over 100 years later, in the late 16th century, that the great thinker Galileo had to recant on Copernicus's heliocentric idea so as not to be burned at the stake. Galileo had direct eyeball evidence that the old models of the universe were wrong. In 1610, he used a telescope A new invention then, to view the moons of Jupiter rotating around that planet, thus proving that not all heavenly bodies revolved around the Earth as in the older models, as the way the older models predicted. Another great thinker came along in the mid-18th century that really shook traditional religions' ways of experiencing life. Sir Isaac Newton, working off Galileo's idea of inertia, developed ideas that mathematically predicted the movement of the planets. Up to this point, it was thought that God actively caused the heavens to change and move. Newton, who was himself a devout Christian, showed that it was just dumb mechanical forces that caused celestial movement, not the hand of God, as in the older models. Things got worse for conventional religion thinking. Another great thinker, also from the mid-18th century, Emmanuel Kant, theorized in his philosophy that time, space, and causality are not qualities inherent in the universe, but are constructs of the human mind, which humans lay over the world as it is. Kant also showed with considerable certainty that experience of reality and reality are not the same thing, that our perceptions of reality are relative, in particular to the individual. This is a real kick in the pants for religionists of a more fundamentalist persuasion, though it is a boon for religionists like us. In the mid-19th century, another great thinker appeared on the scene, Charles Darwin. Darwin, with his theory of evolution, proposed that humanity was not a standalone creation, that we and all complex life forms have probably evolved from a common ancestor. Not only are we not the center of creation, we are not even a special creation. Humanity itself is like the movement of the planets, a product of the dumb forces of nature, at least in Darwin's model. You would think it could not get any more devastating for traditional religion than this. It does. In the early 20th century, the father of psychoanalytic theory, Sigmund Freud, showed pretty convincingly that much of human thought and action is predicated on mental activity that takes place below the level of consciousness. We are not even masters of ourselves. We are not captains of our own ship. We are not free. Every human is captive to his or her childhood programming and the cultural perspective he or she has adopted. The saga of disenchantment with traditional religion continues. In the early 20th century, a junior clerk at the Bern Patent Office in Switzerland, Albert Einstein, came up with the notion that the relativity of time. He said, and I quote, "Terms like past, present, and future no longer have any meaning," end quote. It is a science fact that there is a timeline in the universe that has no time in it at all. There's a now slice of the universe in which the Big Bang and the end of the universe and all events in between happen at exactly the same instant. The story gets even more confusing for traditional religionists. Thinkers like Max Planck, Niels Bohr, and Werner Heisenberg showed us through experimentation that there really is no such thing as matter, at least as we have been conditioned to think of matter. It turns out that the more we keep dividing matter into its component atomic and subatomic particles, that we find that these particles are made entirely of energy fields. There is no solid matter there at all, just fields within fields within fields. The matter appears to be if that matter appears to be solid at all, is a function of the operations of the human brain. Now, the defeat of traditional religion as a meaningful endeavor seems complete. Or is it? The quantum physicists mentioned above also showed us that observation changes the actions of some atomic particles. Our conscious participation in life affects physical reality. We, you and me, just by being alive, are creative elements of the universe. We may actually be co-creators with Newton's and Darwin's now not looking so dumb forces of nature. What we do with our lives means something. This is the foundation of our UU religion. What we do matters. I mean this literally. We matter. This suggests that we have the capacity for great freedom. We have the freedom to create our own lives, freedom to take responsibility for our own experience, and freedom to live lives that are whole, compassionate, and full of grace. And now